Hey there YouTube, Mr.Lubufu, and I'm here with a deck tech. Yeah, I know I haven't done one of those in a while. This is a deck that doesn't exactly have a really cool name. I jokingly call it Gri-Shoal-Brand combo, but it is a combo deck in Modern that's I'm having a lot of fun with, at least right now. I know that there have been other versions of this deck running around, but this is the version that I feel most comfortable piloting. So, for the most part, it is a Goryo's Vengeance through the Breach deck. So basically your goal is to cheat a big creature into play and then kill him with it. Now, what is the best creature to cheat in? Well, for this deck, and I think for most decks, it turns out to be the Captain Communist himself, Griselbrand. You don't know why I call him a communist? His right arm is a hammer, his left arm's a sickle. He's a commie. The only thing that's not read about him is his mana cost. Ha. Anyway, so you jam 4 Griselbrands in the deck. He's your best target because this is a sort of a combo deck, as I said. We'll explain why there's Borborygmos here, and why there's 4 Worldspine Wurm. Now, what some of the lists do is they choose to run Mrlubufu instead of Worldspine Wurm, and they don't even bother touching Borborygmos Enraged. But as I said, this is a combo deck, and it plays on some of the really interesting interactions that you have in Modern. So the main power that comes from this deck is from this obscure little rare called Nourishing Shoal. Now you guys might be familiar with the Shoal cycle because the red one's actually banned in Modern because it was too good with Infect. Well, the green one isn't that good either. You would say, oh, it just says gain X life or exile a green card from your hand. But instead of paying green X. But this has a fun little interaction with Worldspine Wurm, in which you gain 11 life. Now, in the meta that I play, it is 25% burn. So having main deck gain 11 life is pretty good. Now, what also Nourishing Shoal offers is it is an arcane spell. More than that, it's an arcane spell you can cast for free. Like, you just pay it, exile a green card. Even if you don't exile Worldspine Wurm, like you exile Borborygmos, or even something like one of the cheaper green spells of the deck. And both Through the Breach and Goryo's Vengeance have this fun little text that showed up again in Modern Masters called Splice onto Arcane. So what you do is you reveal the card from your hand, pay the Splice onto Arcane cost, and you get the effects of this spell applied as well to the Arcane spell. Now, what's really powerful is all of these are instants. So against a blue deck, you can go end of turn, Nourishing Shoal, Splice onto Arcane, Through the Breach, or Goryo's Vengeance. And if they counter it, sure, they countered the Shoal, you still have the original spell to cast during your turn, and then you kill them. Because both of these give the creature haste. Now, how exactly do you kill them? Well, so the easiest way is you would just, early on in the game, just Through the Breach or Worldspine Wurm, attack them for 15, get 3 5/5 worms with trample, and then they just die. Yes, you can't Goryo's Vengeance it, but you can Through the Breach it. The other main win con is involving Captain Griselbrand. Because Griselbrand reads pay 7, draw 7, which is a good feeling. And normally when you Goryo's Vengeance or Through the Breach, you're above 14 lives. You're 15, maybe 18 due to some Shocklands or something like that. So you Griselbrand, you draw 14 cards. And typically, in those 14 cards, you are likely to draw a Nourishing Shoal plus either Worldspine Wurm or Borborygmos. That means you gain 11 life, which means you draw 7 cards, which means maybe you draw another Shoal and a Worldspine Wurm, which means you do it again. And you normally end up drawing somewhere between 28 and 35 cards in your deck, but that's all you really need. You also can attack with your Griselbrand and get another free 7 cards. So you basically draw a sizable chunk of your deck. At which point, you use some fast mana. I put this in the wrong order. You use some fast mana spells Specifically, not Desperate Ritual. Desperate Ritual you use after. You have Manamorphose just as cyclers, basically. But you have 4 Simian Spirit Guides if you're tapped out. So use the Simian Spirit Guides. Use Manamorphose if you need to draw any more cards from your deck. Use Desperate Rituals, and you can splice them to Arcane the Rituals, because these are also Arcane spells. And then you end up with 4 or 5 mana. Now, with Manamorphose, you can Manamorphose, making red-black, and Goryo's Vengeance. Or you can just pay through the Breach. And then you through the Breach Borborygmos. And this is why Borborygmos is in the deck. Because Borborygmos offers you the second part of your combo strategy. Because Borborygmos lets you discard a land to lightning bolt stuff. But you've drawn 38 cards. Or, not, like, 38 is like, you know, Griselbrand 5 times plus Manamorphose, 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 or something like that, right? So you've drawn an absurdly large amount of cards. And you possibly attack them for 7. So then you just put in a Borborygmos, throw a bunch of lands at their face, and they're dead. D-E-D, dead. So it's a fun little combo. Basically, like, once you get Griselbrand in play, you can just draw 14 to 21 cards, and people, like, at least in my local game store, they start to concede. Because the combo is pretty resilient in that effect. But what I like about the deck itself is its resiliency. Like, so people play Rest in Peace, and it's like, great, you stopped the Rest in Peace. I threw the Breach of Worldspine Wurm. Or they go, like, even Slaughter Games is like a very good card against me, and they name Griselbrand most times. Which basically that means, okay, now I'm on the through the Breach of Worldspine Wurm plan, which is still pretty good. In a lot of situations. Like, attacking for 15 is pretty good, and having 3 5/5s is very powerful. So, there's very, like, there's many, scalpels of sorts that exist, in Modern. Like, you've got Rest in Peace for the graveyard decks, you've got Creeping Corrosion against Affinity, you've got Abrupt Decay against Twin, like, you have all of these very powerful options in your sideboard, and there's no single piece that really, like, completely cripples the deck. There are cards that, you know, are not pleasant to play against, but the deck itself is actually pretty resilient to it, which is another reason why I like it. In addition, it all goes off instant speed. Every single relevant spell of the combo is instant. Like, I have killed people when they're like, crack my fetch land, and they're playing blue-white-red, and they played us a white-red land on turn 1, and then they have fetch land on turn 2, and when they crack their fetch land to go get blue, I kill them. Or they go to Path to Exile the Griselbrand, and you, like, draw 7 cards, gain 11 life, draw 7 cards, gain, like, so on. So you, like, draw your whole deck in response, and then they Path to Exile your guy, and it's fine. Like, you still kill them. The important part is being able to draw the cards and cheat in the Borborygmos. To that end, you have your card filter or card draw, so you've got 3 Night's Whisper. It's Sign in Blood, untargeted, but you're not going to target them. It makes the mana cost a little bit easier. There's a Singleton Time of Need, which is probably the weakest card in the deck. You really want at least another green spell for the Nourishing Shoal, and Time of Need is as good as you're going to get, supposedly. It's 1 and a green to search your library for a legendary creature and put it into your hand. So, oftentimes you find yourself missing a Griselbrand, specifically. You end up with Worms or Borborygmos all the time. So Time of Need basically plays the role of the 5th Griselbrand, but you don't want too many because it's a sorcery and it gums up the rest of the combo. Tormenting Voice, same sort of thing. It's like this 2 mana pseudo discard, like, so you can set up a Goryo's Vengeance, sort of draw. There's nothing else that really fits the shell, so I'm just playing with it. You also play 4 Faithless Looting. It's very good with Griselbrand. Or with Goryo's Vengeance, rather. And then you've got the mana base, which is just black-red fetches, black-red shocks, green-red shocks, green-red, etc. So it's just a pretty stock Jund mana base. With perhaps, like, I'm fiddling on having a few more than 5 basics in it. And the reason is because of the sideboard. Now, the sideboard, for me specifically, is not complete yet. I'm still working on it via Puka trade. But basically what the deck is post-board is you often end up removing Manamorphoses, maybe a Nourishing Shoal, maybe Night's Whisper against Burn. You bring in Leyline of Sanctity against the dedicated discard decks or against Burn. Burn is actually a fantastic matchup. Like, I would say your 65-35 favorite to win any specific one. Because they just can't kill you fast enough, especially if you gain 11 life, and you just cheat in a Worldspine Wurm and they just die. So there's 4 ley lines, 2 of which are still in the mail right now, but they're coming in. There's a Boseiju who shelters all against the blue decks. Again, you can end of turn splice onto Arcane, and then they're sad. Oftentimes they have to have multiple removal spells. Against Twin, which is, like, it's a close matchup. Against Twin, you have to, like, really be ready to kill them in response to them playing Splinter Twin or trying to tap one of your mana sources when they are tapped out and they think they're safe. At least game 1. So game 2, they're going to play a lot safer and slow down their combos, so having a Boseiju helps with that. Rakdos Charm, these are in there. They probably will be replaced. Twin players often play around it if you're playing Jund, so it's not that good. You got 2 Abrupt Decays, just stock sideboard. This is the real reason, like, I want to play against Twin, is the card Rending Volley. I only have 3 right now. I will be playing a 4th because there's a lot of Twin as well in my local meta. And being able to look tapped out and go Exile Simian Spirit Guide, Rending Volley your guy, just wrecks them every time. And then I run some Duresses. Eventually the board will be replaced and there will be 4 ley lines, 3 or 4 Rending Volleys, Boseiju, and some Blood Moons. I really am a fan of jamming some Blood Moons in the board. It lets you steal some wins against a lot of decks, because they don't see you as a Blood Moon deck necessarily. But the thing, as I said, I like this deck is you don't need very heavy mana requirements. You need a black source and some red. You need a black for the Goryo's Vengeance if you choose to go down that route. Everything else that's relevant is a red spell, because Shoal you never tap green for. So that's what this deck is. I've taken it to Modern FNM a few times. It's still at the point where people don't know how to play against it, so I steal a bunch of games that may or may not be like, I probably shouldn't win against an experienced opponent, but this is a deck that people aren't ready for a lot of time. I know Caleb Durward has been playing with, I believe, just a black-red version, so he's running 4 Griselbrands, 4 Mrlubufu's, and then a discard package with Inquisitions, Duresses, Thoughtseize. But it's the same functional thing. I don't like the Mrlubufu plan as much, because yes, you get to attack for 15, but then like, they sack 6 permanents, and then this deck has sometimes struggles in being able to finish someone off after you put them down to 5 or 3 if they've cracked some fetch lands or whatever. The Worldspine Wurm kill is a little bit cleaner in that sense. You can't do it on turn 2 because, well, unless you draw a bunch of Simian Spirit Guides and Rituals. But what it does is, apart from attacking them for 15 with Trample, so they can't particularly chump block well, it leaves behind the 3 5/5s, which there's no easy way for Modern to deal with it in the early turns. So anyway, that's what I run in Modern. Those of you that remember my Time Warp deck, yes, I still have it, but I traded off a bunch of the Cryptic commands to help pay for Ley Lines and Blood Moons and that sort of thing, just because I want to finish this deck. But this is what I'm piloting. I hope you guys enjoyed the deck tech. Let me know what you guys think of the deck down below in the comments. I don't know if I'll be able to offer, like, footage of me playing the deck anytime soon, but hopefully I can. Thank you guys all for watching. Rate, comment, subscribe.